Welcome to Microsoft Teams Introductory Training. My name is Samuel Adams. I'm the content writer and social media strategist at SeedSpark, and today we are going to be talking more about how to actually use Microsoft Teams, at least whenever you are first starting out. So first and foremost, what is Microsoft Teams? It's essentially your one-stop shop productivity tool for communicating and collaborating with people inside of your organization and with clients you might be working with. It incorporates group calling, individual calls, and screen sharing on top of stuff like a virtual whiteboard. You're able to record calls, and it also has additional compatibility with your favorite Microsoft apps like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and all of this is baked into one central application available on platforms like web, mobile, and locally on your PC and Mac. So first and foremost, front and center, you will have a search bar in the top portion of your screen. You can click on this and you see a prompt that says type / or @ for a list of commands. These are going to be very useful going forward. However, you can also just type in a general keyword. For instance, if I wanted to talk to Joe, I can find Joe, and I've got Joe Peace and Joseph Atkins and other groups that Joe and Joseph are involved in. Additionally, you can type that / and you can set your status. You can see somebody's recent activity. You can place a call. You can join a team. There are so many ways that you can use the search bar that essentially it eliminates the need to really navigate much of Teams outside of the search bar if you know how to use it. Now the key here is just going in, exploring, finding out what the tool is actually capable of, and baking it into your everyday workflow. There is no resource for education like some hands-on activity. Additionally, if you type the @ sign, you can also find people that you are often chatting with. For instance, I have Taylor, Jeremy, Addie, Chad, and Kaylin. These are people that I communicate with a lot. But on top of that, you can also send information to Evernote if you have that application, which we'll dive into more in a moment. Then we have stuff like news, places, stocks, weather. You can get so much insight from just exploring what is possible within your search bar. On the far left, you have your main navigation. This features activity, calendar, chat, teams, calls, files, and more, and clicking on each of these opens up basically what is a new tab. The activity shows exactly what's going on within your organization, what people are talking about, and what you might need to be involved in, or what you might already be involved in. The calendar tab gives you access to everything that you have scheduled in Outlook, and on top of that, aside from just seeing what you have planned for the day, the week, or the work week, you can actually schedule a new meeting now or for the future. You can schedule a live event now or for the future, or you can just host a one-off meeting that's happening immediately with people that you might want to communicate with, or perhaps there's an urgent need that you need to discuss. Now this is incredibly useful for streamlining your workflow because so often you might be having a phone call or you might be in an email thread that is needing some kind of meeting scheduled, or perhaps they want to jump on a call. Instead of having to navigate multiple programs, Teams eliminates that need altogether, and it essentially allows you to do everything that you need to do right within the world of Teams. Moving on to the chat tab, this is an incredibly important tool for staying in touch with your team or people within your organization in general. Now this can include not only one-on-one conversations, but also group chats. And additionally, these are searchable. So if you had a conversation in January and it's almost April, you can go back and say, I really needed some information from that conversation that I had with David. And there you have it, easily searchable, easily retrievable. Microsoft Teams makes it easy to avoid having to navigate to the Calls tab to actually place a video or audio call. So if I wanted to continue this conversation over the phone with Jeremy and Taylor, I could simply navigate to the top right-hand corner. We have 4 options for this chat room. First and foremost, if you have a camera connected, this is your video calls option on the far left. The phone icon provides the access to place an audio call, and additionally, you can share your screen to add to your conversation. The 4th option over here on the far right is to view and add participants. So if you wanted to loop in Joe, I could also add Joe to the conversation by simply clicking add people and then type Joe, and there he is. We could add him and get insight from him. Now you can also choose various options, but this provides a lot of versatility when you are trying to share information with one individual person or a group of people that you are having a conversation with. Let's talk more about the chat box. Below the chat box, you see a variety of icons that can provide a lot of value depending on how you use them. So if you wanted to format your message, you can click on the format option and you can embolden text, add italics, underline whatever words you might feel important. And on top of that, you can change the color, add a highlight, or even adjust the size of each individual word or an entire paragraph. This is incredibly useful for long messages or really getting a point across, but I would encourage you to dive in and give it a look and get some hands-on time with that. On top of that, you can also change the urgency of the message from standard to important or urgent, depending on, again, how urgent the message may be. The paperclip icon allows you to add attachments from OneDrive, or you can upload them directly from your computer. The emoji icon does allow you to add emojis to your text. If you wanted to add a crazy emoji or perhaps a sweaty, tired emoji, whatever you might need to add to your conversation and get emotion across within your text. GIFs supply Giphy integration, which can essentially allow you to add a lot of personality to a conversation and better communicate with your teammates. You then have access to other icons, such as the sticker icon, which includes a library of stickers you can then add to your conversations. You can incorporate calendar attachments if you did want to add something directly from a Microsoft Teams chat, or you can include stream, achievements, and more. But again, I would encourage you to explore them and see what works for your workflow. Moving on to the Teams tab, this is an incredibly important resource because it essentially combines a message board with a chat room, and you can include whoever you would like within each individual team. So for instance, as you can see, we have an entire organization-wide team. Additionally, we have teams for marketing, development, and each of our other departments. So if I wanted to go in, some of the utility you could find from starting a team would be to include a general channel that includes general announcements. You could have an events tab dedicated to upcoming events, or you could even do what we do at SeedSpark, where we have an entire team dedicated to our furry friends. Who doesn't like seeing dogs, cats, and even sometimes chiclets in your work organization? This is incredibly important for keeping everybody on the same page because instead of having a giant email chain that is continually added to month after month, showcasing the newest announcements, if a new client is onboarded, you could jump in the general channel and say, hey guys, congratulations on this fantastic achievement. You can do a variety of various tasks within the Teams tab, but this is just an overview of some of the utility you could find from it. Jumping into the Calls tab, we have a variety of options on our left. You will start with the speed dial page. This gives you access to people that you have on speed dial. You can add people to speed dial by clicking the Add Speed Dial button in the top right-hand corner. Additionally, you have other contacts and suggested contacts, which includes people you might already have in your contact book or perhaps people you communicate with frequently. If you do want to communicate with a group, you can select New Group in the top right-hand corner next to the speed dial button, and you can add multiple names to this to call people easily, perhaps if you have a recurring meeting. But parked calls also allow you to pick up parked calls within your organization. If somebody has placed a call on hold, this is where you can retrieve it and start your conversation. Contacts act as you would expect. You can add a variety of contacts here in your contact book. Again, this is completely compatible with Outlook and other Microsoft tools. Then History provides a giant list of people you have recently called, including the type of call, the duration, and the time and date at which it was placed. This is very useful for finding somebody you have recently hung up with and perhaps placing another call with them. And finally, you have voicemail, exactly what you would expect. And on top of that, you will also get transcripts, very useful for taking notes and making sure you get the most out of each conversation you place. Within the Files tab, you'll find access to all of the files that have been shared within your Microsoft Teams conversations. This is very useful because Microsoft Teams is able to transmit Word documents, OneNote notebooks, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, and ultimately any other kind of file that you might want to share. Now, depending on how many conversations you are having throughout your day, those can often get muddled together and they can become difficult to locate. The Files tab makes that easy. Everything is sorted by date, and on top of that, you can find it based on location as well, and if a new document is transmitted, you can always refresh to see what is new. You can also sort by what has been transmitted in Microsoft Teams, or even find stuff within your recent downloads. Then you have access to cloud storage via OneDrive, so essentially Files gives you access to everything you need all in one tab within Microsoft Teams. Continuing on, the 3-dot more icon opens access to applications you have installed on Microsoft Teams. For instance, if you wanted to install OneNote, you then have access to all of the most recent notes that you have taken within OneNote directly within Microsoft Teams, another benefit of compatibility. Now, there are hundreds of apps you can use within Microsoft Teams, and you can explore your options by finding the Applications tab within the More tab on Microsoft Teams side taskbar. But that concludes today's introductory Microsoft Teams training. We certainly hope you have gotten a lot out of this opportunity, and it should give you a basic foundation to get started with Microsoft Teams. And remember, the more that you use it, the easier it will get. Slowly but surely, this will become a natural part of your workflow. But thank you for joining us for today. Of course, if you are watching on YouTube, drop a like down below, and you can always follow us on our various social media platforms, all of which have been linked down below. Until next time, continue learning, and we'll see you soon.